All praise to the Most High. All praise to the Most High. Shalom, family. Tonight, I am your host, Abraham Yasharala, and we are continuing on in our series, Black History According to the Bible. Tonight, we'll be going in depth and looking at what is the separation between the so-called black man here in the United States and the so-called Africans in Africa. Because although we may look the same and similar in color and textures, we are different people. And tonight we're going to dive into the Bible and find out about that. The first thing we're going to talk about is, as we are looking at Black history according to the Bible, it's really important that you guys grab a pen and paper and go ahead and write these precepts down so that later event you can go ahead and read them and get edified for yourself. And you'll be able to share with some of the people. Okay, Salakia family. You guys go ahead, whoever's watching, please like, share, and subscribe. And do me a big favor, go ahead and put a 1 or a shalom in the chat so that I know that I'm coming in clear. Put a 1 or a shalom in the chat or whatever you would like so I know that I am coming in clear. We'll get started in a couple of minutes. Shalom. Put a 1 or something in the chat to let me know that you guys can hear me. All right, I'm going to just give everybody a couple minutes to come on in. And we will get started. Shalom, family. Thank you for tuning in to Tuesday night's Bible study. I am your host tonight, Abraham Yasharala. And tonight we will be talking about Black history according to the Bible, part 4. If you haven't watched the other 3 parts, don't do yourself a disservice. Go back and check them out. They were real great studies. We continue on from our restoration of the family, restoration of the relationship between your natural family here on the earth and the Most High. And now we're talking about Black history according to the Bible, because we have to find out who these Israelites are in the Bible. It's really important to understand that. In most churches, Shalom, Candace. Okay. All praises. Yeah, so tonight we're going to talk about the difference between the so-called Negro here in the United States and the Egyptians or Hamites, those that live in Africa. So tonight we're going to get started. If any of the officers or anybody's available to read, let me know. You can either come in the back room or I'll send you a link. I'm going to go ahead and get started. It's 8:09. Tonight we're talking about, we're not Egyptians. We're not Hamites. The so-called black man here in the United States is totally different from our so-called Hamites and the Egyptians and those that live in Africa. We come from 2 different bloodlines. Although we may look similar, we are 2 totally different people. And tonight what we're going to look at, if you look at this book here, let me make sure you can see it. There you go. It is the Zondervan's Pictorial Bible Dictionary. And if you go into page 330, which I'm going to open it, I'm going to read it now. Zondervan's Pictorial Dictionary, Bible Dictionary, on page 330. Go there. Zondervan's Bible Dictionary. We'll go right to page 330. And we're going to go to the definition of Ham. Now, this is the definition of Ham. Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of the 8 persons to live through the flood. Ham became the progenitors of the dark races, not the Negroes, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites. Okay? He became the progenitor of the dark races, but not the Negroes. Why did they put this in here? And this is written not by us, not by the so-called Negroes. This is written way before we got here. And they put this in here. So because, the thing about it is, if you want to hide something from a so-called Negro, you put it in a book because Negroes don't read. Okay? But they put it in a book, and here we're sitting in 2021. And the definition of Ham is he's the father of the dark races, but not the Negroes. Okay? So also let's go to Zondervan's Pictorial Bible Dictionary. Let's go to page 262. 262. And let's see what we see here. Zondervan's Pictorial Bible Dictionary, page 262. If you don't have access to be able to get the book, you can go online and Google it. Zondervan's Pictorial Bible Dictionary, and they'll have a PDF, or you'll have an app where you can look at it and you can look through the book. This is one of the best picture Bible dictionaries that's out there, and we always use it. Page 62. It said here, the Ethiopians had skin of different appearance. Okay? It says the Ethiopians had different skin according to appearance. So that's interesting to note too. So there is even a difference among the Egyptians, the Hamites, that the Ethiopians look different. And if you notice, if you really look at the Ethiopian, they kind of look like themselves. They don't look like any of the other tribes that are in Africa. They have their own distinct look and stuff. Okay? So look, let's get started. Let's go right into the Bible. So remember, that's Zondervan's Pictorial Bible Dictionary, page 262. It talks about the Ethiopians. And page 330, it talks about Ham being the father of the dark races, but not the Negroes. So first, we're going to take a look at the Ethiopians. You see that the Ethiopians had a dark bronze, like brown bronze skin, and the Hamites are the dark races, the darker of the dark. The Negroes, we vary in coloration from what we call mulatto all the way to blue black. We picked up all of the different colorization because we mingled with a lot of different nations. That was part of the curses. If you don't know what the curses are, go back to the last lesson. We dealt strictly in the curses, and the curses show that. But because we mingled with so many other nations, we have varying different shades of hues in the so-called Negroes. So let's take a look at Amos chapter 9 and verse 7. And it says, are ye not as the children of Ethiopians unto me? O children of Israel, saith the Most High Yahweh. Have not I brought up Israel out of the land of Egypt, and the Philistines from Caphtor, and the Syrians from Ker? So here it says, are we not as the children of Ethiopians unto me? Well, we see here that Ham was the progenitor of the Ethiopians, and the Ethiopians come from Ham. The so-called Negroes, the Israelites, come from Shem. So the Most High couldn't say that these two come from each other. Here he's saying the way that the Ethiopians look is the same way that the so-called Negroes look, the children of Israel. Okay? So we look like them. Okay? So Israel looks like Ethiopians. If you look at the Ethiopians today, they're one of the oldest nations that have stayed in their land since the beginning of time. Since they came in and stayed in that land, they're one of the oldest nations here on the earth. And you can see Their hue has always been their hue. The way they look, the hue, the color of their skin varies from reddish bronze to dark brown, blue black. Different shades like that. So here we can see that the Most High is saying, "Are you not as the children of Ethiopians unto me, O children of Israel?" He's comparing us there to the Ethiopians. Okay, let's go to Jeremiah chapter 13 and verse 23. Jeremiah chapter 13 and verse 23. Let's take a look at this. And verse 23 reads, "Can the Ethiopian change his skin, or a leopard his spots? And may ye also do good that are accustomed to do evil." See, the problem is the same as it's been today. You got brothers out here bleaching your skin. You got our sisters putting blonde hair, want blue eyes. We're trying to become accustomed like the other nations. And that's what we're talking about here, accustomed to do evil. And it says, can the Ethiopians change his skin? No, they can't. So the children of Israel can't change their skin. We are who we are, the way that the Most High made us. So it's letting you know that the Ethiopian's not going to change the skin color. You can see that, as I told you, Ethiopia is one of the oldest nations in the world. And we see that their hue, their color has stayed pretty much consistent from the beginning until now. Okay, so now let's go to Exodus chapter 2. Exodus chapter 2, and let's take a look at Moses being mistaken for an Egyptian. Exodus chapter 2, and we're going to read verses 14 through 19. Exodus chapter 2, 14 through 19. Again, grab your pen and paper, write these precepts down. If I'm going too fast, just put slow down in the comments. Yeah, get yourself a pen and paper. That's the best thing. Write these precepts down so you could go back and read it for yourself and take a look at the lesson. That way the Most High can glean understanding to you, and that you can get an understanding of who the real children of Israel are. The black history we're talking about according to the Bible. Exodus chapter 2, and we're going to start at verse 14. And he said, "Who made thee prince and judge over us? Intendest thou to kill me, as thou killedest the Egyptian?" And Moses feared and said, "Surely this thing is known." Now when Pharaoh heard this thing, he sought to slay Moses. But Moses fled from the face of Pharaoh and dwelt in the land of Midian. And he sat down by the well. Now the priest of Midian had 7 daughters, and they came and drew water and filled the troughs to water their father's flock. Here it is, verse 17. And the shepherds came and drove them away, but Moses stood up and helped them and watered their flock. The shepherds came and drove them away, but Moses stood up and helped them and watered the flock. So here we got shepherds that were already out there, right? But Moses stood up to help them and water the flock. Verse 18. And when they came to Reuel, their father, he said, "How is it that ye come so soon today?" And he said, "An Egyptian delivered us out of the hand of the shepherds, and also drew water enough for us and watered the flock." So Moses helped the shepherds. That way they came home early. So their father asked them, "How you guys made it home so early?" They said, "The Egyptian." So they mistook Moses to be an Egyptian, showing you that the hue of the Egyptians and the hue of the Israelites could be mistaken for each other. Okay? Could be mistaken for each other. Let's go to the New Testament. Let's look at Paul being mistaken for an Egyptian. Let's go to Acts chapter 21. Acts chapter 21. And we're going to read verses 36 through 39. 36 through 39. Shalom, family. This is Abraham Yasharallah from Kingdom of Israel United Worldwide. We thank you for tuning in to our Tuesday night Bible study. Please go ahead and do us a favor and please like, share, subscribe, and share the broadcast so it can go out, and the algorithm that YouTube and Instagram and Facebook all use will be able to pass this around more, so more people will be edified. Tonight we're talking about Black History According to the Bible, Part 4. If you didn't get a chance to listen to Part 1, 2, and 3, go back either to YouTube or Kingdom of Israel United Worldwide on Facebook, and you'll be able to catch Part 1, Part 2, and go back and look at Part 4. We send all our broadcasts to Facebook and to YouTube, so it doesn't matter if you're watching on YouTube or you're watching on Facebook. Just please like, share, and subscribe. All right, so tonight we're talking about Black history according to the Bible. We say that the Most High said that we're like unto the Ethiopians unto him. We see Moses being mistaken for an Egyptian. Now we're going to take a look and see Paul being mistaken for an Egyptian. We're going to start right at verse 36. For the multitude of the people followed after, crying, away with him. And as Paul was led into the castle, he said unto the chief captain, may I speak unto thee? Who said, canst thou speak Greek? So here the captain was asking Paul, how are you talking to me? You speak Greek? He said, art thou not an Egyptian, which before these days madest an uproar and leadest out into the wilderness 4,000 men that were murderers? So here the captain was mistaken Moses to be an Egyptian. We could see here again, Paul from the tribe of Benjamin was mistaken to be a Hamite or an Egyptian. So we see that we both are on the same lines of being melanated people. Okay, let's take a look at Matthew chapter 2. Let's go over to Matthew chapter 2 and take a look at this. Shalom, family. Shalom, Candace. Shalom, Brother William. All praise the Most High. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. Let's go to Matthew chapter 2. And let me see where I want to go. Matthew chapter 2. Let's go right to verse 1 and 2. Let's start right at the beginning. Matthew chapter 2 and verse 1 reads, now, when Yahushua was born in Bethlehem of Judea, in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem, saying, where is he that is born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east, and are come unto worship him. Okay, so we see here, this is when Christ is getting ready to be born, and the wise men came, and they're coming to worship him. So they're asking him where Christ is. Now let's skip down to verse 11. You go ahead and read the story. You see that it was there. The wise men came to warn him, but they found out. He wanted to go back and tell. Herod told the wise men, come back and tell me about if you found the child, and they were like, no. After they met Christ, they went ahead and departed. Let's go to verse 11. When they were coming to the house, they saw the young child with Mary, his mother, and fell down and worshipped him. Here we have the wise men coming in. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented unto him gifts, gold. See, we always had gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And being warned of God in a dream that they should not return to Herod, they departed into their own country another way. So they didn't go back and tell Herod that they had met Christ and where he was. They departed another way and just left. And when they departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, arise and take the young child and his mother and flee into Egypt. And be thou there until I bring thee word, for Herod will seek the young child to destroy him. So we hear the angel coming to Joseph and telling him to go hide out in Egypt. Now, how are you going to hide somewhere if you don't look like the people that are there? You can't be, let's just say, pale-skinned Caucasian to go hide out in Egypt. You would stick out like a sore thumb. You'd have to be of the hue of the melanin. You'd have to have melanin in you to be able to blend in with the people. So nobody knew who you were. So here we're talking about the angel sent Joseph to hide out into Egypt and blend in. Okay? Now let's go to Genesis chapter 50. Genesis chapter 50. And we're going to read verses 6 through 11. Mourning to the Egyptians. We're talking about mourning to the Egyptians here. Let's start at verse 6. And Pharaoh said, "Go up and bury thy father according as he had made thee swear." So Joseph, what happened here is Joseph's father passed. And they're going to bury him. And so Pharaoh is, giving him not like permission, but, giving him permission to go. And he's sending a whole bunch of stuff with Joseph. Shalom, Christy. He's going to send a whole bunch of stuff with Joseph. Shalom, Brother Brian. He's sending a whole bunch of stuff. So let's go to verse 7. And Joseph went up to bury his father, and with him went up the servants of Pharaoh and the elders of his house, and all the elders of the land of Egypt. So Joseph was well respected. All the elders went with him. All the Pharaoh's servants all went with him to go bury his father, right? Verse 8. In all the house of Joseph and his brethren in his father's house, only the little ones and their flocks and their herds they left in the land of Goshen. And there went up with him both chariots and horsemen. It was a very great company. Okay? They came to the threshing floor of Atad, which is beyond Jordan. And there they mourned with a great and very sore lamentation. And he made a mourning for his father 7 days. Okay? So they were mourning 7 days. Now let's go on to verse 11. Verse 11 says, "And when the inhabitants of the land, the Canaanites, saw the mourning in the floor of Atad, they said, This is a grievous mourning to the Egyptians. Wherefore the name of it was called Abel Mizraim, which is beyond Jordan." So here the Canaanites, when they saw the great company going to do whatever they were going to do, they presumed that they were Egyptians. And we see here, this is Joseph with his family and all the elders of Israel and Pharaoh's servants and all the elders of Egypt. So when they looked at him, they all looked the same. They couldn't differentiate, oh, this is these people, this is these people. Okay? So let's go to Genesis chapter 15. Genesis chapter 15. And yeah, let's go right to verse 13. Genesis chapter 15 and verse 13. "And he said unto Abram, Know it of surety that your seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. So part of the key, we see that, okay, look like the Ethiopians, look like the Egyptians, and here we see that they are going into foreign lands and they're going to serve the people in the land and be afflicted for 400 years. Message. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 19. Isaiah chapter 19, we're going to read verses 1 through 4. "The burden of Egypt, behold, the Most High Yahweh rideth upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be removed at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it." Verse 2, "And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, kingdom against kingdom." Okay? Kingdom against kingdom. "And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof. And they shall seek to the idols, and to the charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, into the wizards. And the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, says the Most High Yahweh, the Lord of hosts. And the waters shall fail from the sea, and the river shall be wasted and dried up. And they shall turn the rivers far away, and the brooks of defense shall be emptied and dried up. The reed and the flags shall wither. Okay, so we see here that the Most High cursed Egypt. The same way that he put certain stipulations on the children of Israel, we see here that he cursed Egypt also. So slavery of the Egyptians and the Ethiopians, they went into slavery also because of what they did to us. So you got to understand that everything that happened in Deuteronomy chapter 28 is going to happen to the other nations. Some of it may have already started happening. Some of it is yet to come. There's talk about, in the Bible, until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Well, the Gentile nation is ruling right now. So some of the curses might be falling on a few of them, but it's not on the majority of the nation. You understand? Let's go to Isaiah chapter 20. Next chapter over. Let's take a look at this. Isaiah chapter 20. And we're going to read verses 1 through 6. Isaiah chapter 20. We're going to read verses 1 through 6. In the year that Tartan came unto Ashdod, when Sargon the king of Assyria sent him, and fought against Ashdod, and took it. And at the same time spake the Lord by Isaiah the son of Amoz, saying, Go and loose the sackcloth from off thy loins, and put off the shoe from thy foot. And he did so, walking naked and barefoot. And the Most High Yahweh said, Like as my servant Isaiah has walked naked and barefoot 3 years for a sign and wonder upon Egypt and upon Ethiopia. Here goes the curse. Verse 4. So shall the king of Assyria lead away the Egyptians, what? Prisoners. And the Ethiopians, what? Captives. Young and old, naked and barefoot, even their buttocks uncovered, to the shame of Egypt. Verse 5. And they shall be afraid and ashamed of Ethiopia, their expectation, and of the glory, Salakia, and of Egypt, their glory. Verse 6. And the inhabitant of this isle shall say in that day, Behold, such is our expectation, whether we flee for help to be delivered from the king of Assyria, and how shall we escape? So you see, the Most High brought the king of Assyria and brought a burden on Egypt and Ethiopia and placed them in slavery for what they did to us. See, nobody's going to escape. Everybody's going to pay for what they've done. The only thing is, if you are one of the 12 tribes of Israel, you are able to repent for your sins and be a part of the kingdom family. But we have to go into the Bible to find out our history, because our history is not taught in the classrooms. You're not going to hear this history in any school or any seminary school. They'll never go in depth and read these precepts to you and break it down so you can get a clear understanding and a picture. Okay? So we see that the Israelites, they look like the Egyptians and the Ethiopians. We see that the Most High placed a burden on Egypt and Ethiopia for what they did to us. And the king of Assyria came in and conquered them and led them away captive, what? Buck naked, with no clothes on, just as the prophet Isaiah. And you could see that during the Assyrian slave trade. You could see a lot of that happening, going on with that too. So we see Moses was mistaken for an Egyptian. Paul was mistaken for an Egyptian. Joseph and his entourage was mistaken for Egyptians. So we've proven the point that the children of Israel have melanin. They have color. They are a brown skin to dark to melanated, mulattoes, all the way to dark skin. We've picked up you from all the different nations that intermingled with us. And that's part of the curses. Because when we were led away captives in all these lands, they took our wives, they took our daughters, and they had them. The men had married other nations, and through that, we got all mixed up. But there's another identifying factor besides color. The curses identify, if you go back to the last video that we did, Black History According to the Bible, Part 3, it talks about what the curses were and how they were placed on Israel, and that they would be on them for a sign and a wonder forever. So those curses are going to be on the children of Israel no matter what land they live in or where they go until Yahushua comes back home. So now we know that the children of Israel are of color, that Ham is the progenitor of the Egyptians, the Ethiopians, the Africans, but not the so-called Negroes. Why is there a differentiation? Because we're not the same people. We are the so-called Negroes. They've never been called Negro. They've always been called Africans or whatever their heritage is. Here we've been called Negroes. They knew who we were from the beginning. And it's now high time for all of us to wake up and understand who we are. All right, let's go to Ezekiel chapter 29. Let's take a look at some more of what happened to Egypt. Ezekiel chapter 29. And let's go to let's start at verse 1. I want you to really understand this. In the 10th year, in the 10th month, in the 20th day of the month, the word of the Most High Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and prophesy against him, and against all Egypt. Speak and say, Thus said the Most High Yahweh, Behold, I am against thee, Pharaoh, king of Egypt, the great dragon that lieth in the midst of the rivers, which has said, My river is mine, Salakia, my river is my own, and I've made it for myself. But I will put hooks in the jaws, and I will cause the fish of the rivers to stick unto thy scales. And I will bring thee up out of the midst of the rivers, and all the fish of the rivers shall stick unto thy scales. And I will leave thee thrown into the wilderness, thee and all the fish out of the rivers, and thou shalt fall upon the open fields. Thou shalt not be dropped together nor gathered. I have given thee for meat to the beasts of the field and to the fowls of heaven. The inhabitants of Egypt shall know that I am the Most High Yahweh, because I have been a staff, a reed to Israel. Okay? When thou took hold of thee by the hand and didst break and rend all their shoulder, and when thou hast leaned upon thee, thou breakest and madest all their loins to be at a stand. Therefore said the Lord, the Most High Yahweh, Behold, I will bring a sword upon thee, and cut off man and beast out of thee. And the land of Egypt shall be what? Desolate and waste. They shall know that I am the Most High Yahweh, because he has said, The river is mine, and I have made it. Behold, I am against thee, and against thy rivers, and I will make the land of Egypt utterly waste and desolate, from the tower of Serene even unto the border of Ethiopia. See, he's letting you know. That's why that place is a desert wasteland. No foot of man shall pass through it, nor foot of beast shall pass through it. Neither shall it be inhabited, what? 40 years. And I will make the land of Egypt desolate in the midst of countries that are desolate, and her cities among the cities that are laid waste shall be desolate 40 years. And I will scatter the Egyptians among the nations, and will disperse them through the countries. Yet thus said the Lord Yahweh, at the end of the 40 years will I gather the Egyptians from the people whether they were scattered, and I will bring again the captivity of Egypt, and will cause them to return into the land of the Pathros, into the land of their habitation, and they shall be there a base kingdom. It shall be the basis of all the kingdoms. Neither shall it exist, Salakia. Neither shall it exalt itself any more above the nations, for I will diminish them, that they shall no more rule over the nations. And it shall be no more the confidence of the house of Israel. which bringeth their iniquity to the remembrance when they shall look after them. But they shall know that I am the Most High Yahweh. And it came to pass in the 7th and 20th year, in the first month, and on the first day of the month, the word of the Most High came unto me, saying, Salakia. Open back up. That's it. Yeah, you can end it at 15. So here, the Most High had another nation come in, take all the Egyptians and the Ethiopians, and allow them to return back to the land. But it said what? They will be the basest of all nations. Now look at this. Africa as a whole is one of the richest continents in the world. Everybody in the world eats off Africa. But if you go to Africa, I'm not saying all the places in Africa are like this. I know there are beautiful cities in Africa now. But for the most part, if you look at how most of the Africans live there versus the rest of the world, you can see it's a base land. The Africans have never ruled again. The Egyptians have never ruled again. The Canaanites, none of them have ever been in rulership of the world again, because of how they treated Israel. Okay, so we saw that the Most High, what? The whole northeast, the northern part of Africa is a desert. We read it in the Bible. We see it that from Egypt all the way over, wasteland. Nobody's going to live there. Nobody's going to do nothing over there. That's what's over there right now. And that the Egyptians and the Ethiopians would be base nations, that they would never rule again. Everybody in the world goes to Africa and eats off of it, except Africa. Except now, don't get me wrong, there are a few Africans over there that have amassed a lot of wealth through bloodshed and war and different things that they have gone through over there. But for the most part, Africa as a whole is one of the most impoverished nations in the world. Although it's rich and it's beautiful and the resources and people and everything, but it's one of the most impoverished nations in the world. It's actually one of the most impoverished continents in the world. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 43. Let's go back to Jeremiah chapter 43. Jeremiah chapter 43. And let's start at verse 1. We're going to go slow because I want you guys to really take a look that I'm not giving you 1 or 2 verses. I'm going to take you to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different places where it's going to show you different things, compare different people in the Bible, so you can get a complete understanding. I know I can go on and show you one and you'd be like, okay, you see it there. But no, I'm going to give you line upon line, precept upon precept. I'm going to go into the Old Testament. I'm going to go into the New Testament and show you who are the children of Israel. Black history according to the Bible. Jeremiah chapter 43 and verse 1. And it came to pass that when Jeremiah had made an end of speaking to all the people of the words of the Most High Yahweh, their Elohim, for which the Most High Yahweh, their Elohim, had sent him to them, even all these words. Then spake Azariah the son of Hoshea, and Johanan the son of Kareah, and all proud men, saying unto Jeremiah, Thou speakest falsely. The Most High our Elohim has not sent thee to say, Go not into Egypt to sojourn there. But Baruch the son of Neriah, setting thee on against us, for to deliver us unto the hand of the Chaldeans, or the Chaldeans, that might put us to what? Death, and carry us away captive into Babylon. So Johanan, the son of Kareah, and all the captains of the forces and all the people obeyed not the voice of the Most High Yahweh to dwell in the land of Judah. Okay, so they didn't want to stay in the land of Judah. They didn't want to listen to Jeremiah. And the captains came, and we see here that they were talking about getting out of Dodge. They wanted to go into Egypt. All right, let's pick up at verse 6. Even men and women and children, and the king's daughters, and every person, the Nebuzaradan, Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, had left with him Gedaliah, the son of Hakim, the son of Shaphan, and Jeremiah the prophet, and Baruch, the son of Neriah. So they came into the land of Egypt, for they obeyed not the voice of the Most High Yahweh. Thus came they even to Taphanes. Then came the word of the Lord unto Jeremiah and to Taphanes, saying, Take great stones in thy hand, and hide them in the clay, in the bricklet, which is at the entry of Pharaoh's house in Taphanes, in the sight of the men of Judah. So he wanted to take and go put these stones and lay them down in the sight of the men of Judah, okay? And say unto them, Thus say the Most High of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, behold, I will send and take Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, my servant, and will set his throne upon these stones. And I have hid, and he shall spread his royal pavilion over them. And when he cometh, he shall smite the land of Egypt, and deliver such as they, such are for death to death, and such are captivity for captivity, and such are for sword for sword. Okay, so the Most High here is talking about he's going to raise up Nebuchadnezzar to come in and take down Pharaoh's house. Okay, verse 12. And I will kindle a fire in the houses of gods of Egypt, and he shall burn them, and shall carry them away captives. And he shall array himself with the land of Egypt, as a shepherd put forth on his garment, and he shall go forth from thence in what? Peace. This is the Most High saying this. He shall break also the images of Beth-Shemesh. Beth-Shemesh. That is the land of what? Egypt. And all the houses of the gods of the Egyptians shall he burn with fire. So we saw he raised up the Assyrians and he raised up Nebuchadnezzar. Now, if you notice, Egypt as a nation is getting whooped by everybody because of what they did to the children of Israel. Okay? Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 44. The people refuse to return. And now what? They want to go back to Egypt and look. Let's look at what they got into. Let's go back and look at and see what they got into. Ezekiel, we're going to Jeremiah. Let's stay in Jeremiah. Yeah, Jeremiah chapter 44. Jeremiah chapter 44. Okay, listen. You can read Jeremiah 44, 1 through 30. Okay? I'm going to skip through this verse and read a few precepts out of it so you can get the understanding of what's happening. Okay, so let's go to verse 1. The word that came to Jeremiah concerning what? All the Jews which dwell in the land of Egypt. So we're not talking about some of them. It said all the Jews, okay, which dwell at Migdal and at Taphanes and at Naph and in the country of Pathros, saying, Thus say the Most High Yahweh of the hosts, the Elohim of Israel, ye have seen all the evil that I have brought upon Jerusalem, and upon all the cities of Judah. And behold, this day they are a desolation, and no man what? Dwelleth there. Because of their wickedness, which they have committed to provoke me to anger, in that they went to burn incense and to serve other gods, whom they knew not, neither they, yea, nor your fathers. So here when he was in Egypt, we was worshiping other gods, okay? And we didn't know them. And that's the problem, is that we've always known the Most High, but we always choose to go worship other gods, okay? Let's go skip down to verse 28. Yet a small number that escaped the sword shall return out of the land of Egypt into the land of Judah, and all the remnant of Judah that are gone into the land of Egypt to sojourn there shall know whose word shall stand, mine or theirs. Okay, here he's coming to destroy Egypt again. Why? Because of the children of Israel. Okay, verse 29. And this shall be a sign unto you, said the Most High Yahweh, that I will punish you in this place, that ye may know that my words shall surely stand against you for evil. Okay? Verse 30. Thus the Most High Yahweh, behold, I will give Pharaoh Hoprah, king of Egypt, into the hands of his enemies, and into the hand that seek his life, as I have gave Zedekiah, king of Judah, into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, his enemies, and that sought his life. Okay, here again, the Most High, he uses other nations to come against us. He uses other nations to do his bidding. Here they went to war and beat up Egypt again. Egypt as a whole has never been back right for dealing with the children of Israel. They got cursed because how they treated us. That land has become desolate and barren. Those people are going through their own curses that the Most High put on them. And we see this. Jeremiah, we went into Ezekiel. We saw that the Egyptians and the Israelites look alike. We saw that a whole bunch of Israelites were mistaken for Egyptians and Ethiopians. So we see here that we kind of look alike. They have their own set of curses that the Most High put on them. That's why Egypt as a whole has never been a real nation again. But the curses were put on the Israelites. Go back to lesson 3. And here we says that what? We started worshiping gods. That's always been our problem. We worship other gods. We don't listen to the Most High. We never listen to the Most High. And now let's go to Acts chapter 7. Acts chapter 7. Let's go into the New Testament. I'm not going to keep it long tonight. I'm going to wrap this up. I just wanted to show the difference between the Egyptians, the Hamites, the Ethiopians, and the children of Israel. Let's go into Acts chapter 7. Acts chapter 7. And let's go right to verse 6. Let's go right to verse 6. And Elohim spake this on the wise, that his seed should sojourn in a strange land, and that they would bring them into bondage and entreat them evil 400 years. We saw 400 years in what we call, quote unquote, the Old Testament message. In the nation to whom they shall be in bondage, what? Will I judge, said Elohim. And after this shall they come forth and serve me in this place. And he gave him the covenant of circumcision. And so Abraham begat Isaac and circumcised him on the 8th day. And Isaac begat Jacob. And Jacob begat the 12 patriarchs. And the patriarchs moved with envy, sold Joseph into Egypt, but Elohim was with him. Okay, so we see here now in the New Testament, we see that Joseph was sold into Egypt. Okay, they sold him, but Elohim was with him, raised him to be number 1 under Pharaoh. Number 1, okay, number 1 under Pharaoh. Verse 10, and delivered him out of all his afflictions and gave him favor and wisdom in sight of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And he made him what? Governor over Egypt in all of his house. Okay, so we see here Joseph now in Egypt being the governor, number 1, in control of everything. Okay, let's go to Genesis chapter 15. Genesis chapter 15, let's go to verse 13. And verse 13 reads, and he said unto Abram, know this of a surety, that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. Okay, listen. If you go to Deuteronomy 28, go back to the curses. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68 says that you will be brought back into Egypt again with slave ships. But if you go back into Exodus or Deuteronomy, it talks about the house of bondage being symbolic for Egypt. Okay, so we were never brought back into Egypt on slave ships. Where were we brought on slave ships? Spiritual Babylon, America. You see here in Abraham's time, his people was what? Through Joseph was sold into slavery. Bam. Transatlantic slave trade. Bam. Okay. Old Egypt, New Egypt. Nothing's new under the sun. Okay, let's go to Exodus chapter 2. Let's take back a look at this. Exodus chapter 2 And let's read verses 1. Let me just read a little bit. Let's just start at verse 1. And there went a man of the house of Levi and took to wife a daughter of Levi. And the woman conceived and bare a son. And when he saw him that he was a goodly child, she hid him what? 3 months. Okay. Go to verse 7. Then said his sister to Pharaoh's daughter, shall I go and call thee to nurse of a Hebrew woman, that she may nurse the child for thee? Okay, so Pharaoh's daughter knew this was a Hebrew child. There's a differentiation right there, as we see. And Pharaoh's daughter said unto her, go. And the maid went and called what? The child's mother. See, everybody knew what was going on. But see, we here in the United States, we don't ever know anything. Skip down to verse, let me see, 20. Let's go to 20. Read the story here. You see that Pharaoh's daughter is the one that raised Moses. And then, Moses. And then, whoa, my computer just went dead. Salakia family. Okay. So what we're going to have to do, let me see. Maybe I can pull it up here. Is it on my computer? Yeah, I got it. No, I don't. All praises. Okay. So look, all praise to the Most High. It must be time for me to stop because my other computer went dead. My lesson was on there. Salakia family, but we're right at 9 o'clock. So that's an hour for Bible study. Tune in next Tuesday as we do and conclude by Black History according to the Bible. Remember, we're picking up right here as Pharaoh's daughters was talking about Moses and the Hebrew woman coming to nurse the baby. They knew that he was a Hebrew baby. They even knew the mother. And Pharaoh's servant went out and got Moses' mother, and she came in and nursed him. We're going to pick this up, Exodus chapter 2, on next week. All praise to the Most High. Thank you for tuning in to Kingdom of Israel, United Worldwide's Tuesday night Bible study. We've been going through the series, Black History According to the Bible. We're on part 4 now. We will conclude on next Tuesday with part 5. We will wrap it up. We will show beyond a shadow of a doubt that the so-called Negroes here in the United States are one of the 12 tribes of Israel, according to the Bible, archaeology, and history. I would like to give all the elders of Kingdom of Israel a double honor to believers of the way, all praises, brothers, messengers of the covenant, all praises, Sakari. Y'all keep up the good work. We got to get this word out. We got to let our people get some truth and understanding so that they know who they are and can return unto the commandment and the Most High can save them. And with that, I will say, shalom.